want to say thanks to Fraser for her generous insight on being an excellent fundraiser. I've worked alongside Fraser during the taking the Salt Lake Tribune from for-profit to nonprofit. I want to point out that if you want more from Fraser, not only is she generous with her time, but also in August, the Collaborative Journalism Resource Hub, of which I am the director, hosted Fraser for a 1-hour webinar to talk about this specific thing, because what we hear at the hub from a lot of collaboratives are, how can I, as a collaborative, go out and raise money? And the news organizations in my collaborative also have to go out and raise money. Aren't we competing? Aren't we eating our own? Is there enough money to go around? I don't want to be part of a collaborative that's going to compete with me. And as you just heard from Fraser, and as she said in her recorded webinar that we have on the center's YouTube site, it doesn't have to be that way. And she explains why. So please, you can either go to the center's YouTube channel or site. I don't know what the right word is because I'm old. But also, you can go there or you can email me directly and I'll give you the link in addition to the MOU that Fraser shared with people. So I'll reintroduce myself. I'm Amy Maestas, Director of the Collaborative Journalism Resource Hub. We are funded by the Knight Foundation, and we're yearly about a year and a half old. We launched in January of last year. And in that time, we've had tremendous success in the work we've done to catalyze journalism collaboratives in the U.S. Last year, we had more than 75 conversations with organizations from civic community and journalism organizations seeking information and guidance about journalism collaboratives. Last year, we supported the creation of the Coastal Journalism Hub in Wilmington, North Carolina, the creation of the News Collaborative of Central Florida, the New York State Police Accountability Project, and the Miami-Dade Journalism Collaborative. Our commitment tonight is to help launch and support 4 collaboratives per year over the 5-year life cycle of the grant. This year, we have supported the creation of the Northeast Florida News Collaborative, and we will excitingly be announcing more soon. Catalyzing journalism collaboratives is a primary goal of the hub, expanding on our long success in strengthening local media ecosystems. We're a resource for collaboratives operating at any stage, whether it's acting as a connector between organizations, an innovator, as funder, and as coach. You can come to us for help in a range of ways, from determining whether your ecosystem is ready for a collaborative, figuring out if you should be, or how you can be part of a collaborative. Yesterday, somebody said, how can I, as an independent journalist, be part of a collaborative? There is a place for you, and I'm happy to talk to people about how you can be part of collaboratives or start a collaborative. And tracking the impact of your work. Later this afternoon, you'll hear from Carrie Porter, who has created a new impact tracking framework specifically for collaboratives. There are impact tracking frameworks for individual organizations, but we knew that there was a gap where a collaborative of a bunch of organizations working together needing to track that. I'm really happy and excited that Carrie joined the hub staff to create this framework. I encourage you to go to her session to learn about that. If you can't make it, we do have Carrie will be doing a free webinar on May 26th, noon Eastern, about the impact tracking. Our work also includes support for project managers of collaboratives. You may have been part of the monthly project managers call that the center led for several years, right? Project managers coming together. We're hoping to improve on the network of support, and we want to hear from you about what project managers of collaboratives need. So please find Delaney Butler, the hub's assistant director, to get a QR code and take our survey and tell us what you need. If you're a project manager, she's only giving a QR code. She's waving as if she has free something, but we don't have free anything. Free advice. Our work also centers on helping collaboratives be sustainable. We want collaboratives to be around for as long as they can, which is always. Last year, we partnered with Blue Engine Collaborative to launch a sustainability accelerator. We selected 4 existing collaboratives to participate in this first cohort to receive for direct coaching from Blue Engine to identify, set, and meet sustainability goals. The second cohort of the collaboratives kicked off yesterday morning here at Temple, and they will begin their year-long participation in the accelerator. These are the types of programs that we do. In this next session, the first cohort of the collaboratives will share with you what they learned and achieved while working with Blue Engine. That includes fundraising, that includes a lot of things. Please reach out to the hub if we can help you. You can complete our intake form on our website to set up a meeting with us. You can attend one of our free monthly webinars about collaborative topics and even suggest a topic if there's something you don't see. Once those webinars are completed, we do record them and put them on the center's YouTube. Subscribe to our biweekly newsletter to find out about what's going on, or become part of the project managers group. So I'd like to welcome Blue Engine, Candace Fortman and Chris Rudisil from the Charlotte Journalism Collaborative, Melanie Plenda from Granite State News Collaborative, and Sierra Hinton also from Blue Engine. And did we get all of you here? And Holly Edgel. Holly, you are here. Holly Edgel from the Midwest Newsroom. These are collaboratives that worked with Sierra and Candace for the last year. Thank you.
Very shaky. So in case you have to sit here, just know, sit carefully.
Good morning, everyone. We're really, really happy to be here with you. Thank you so much to Amy for that introduction.
Grab the mic.
Say what? Oh, grab it, hold it.
A little bit.
Like a two-handed situation. More? Is that better? I have to really, okay, I should just hold it then.
Sorry.
Okay, no, you're totally fine. So yes, we are here to talk about what these wonderful folks have been doing and what they've been up to over the last several months as a part of the Collaborative Sustainability Accelerator. I am Sierra Hinton. I'm the Development Director at Blue Engine Collaborative, and I'll have my colleague introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Candace Fortman. I'm the Executive in Residence at Blue Engine.
And for folks who are not familiar with Blue Engine, who we are, what we do, we are a collaborative of coaches and consultants that work with news organizations of all types on how to grow their revenue, how to develop products, how to grow their audiences, basically the business side of news. We get our name from the book, The Little Engine That Could, because we're always trying to help people get up over that hill. And we have worked with organizations globally, over 2,000 organizations on news, revenue, business development. And we are really excited to have worked with these folks and their peers on their sustainability as collaboratives as a part of the Collaborative Sustainability Accelerator. So today, we're going to talk a little bit about what we mean when we say sustainability. And then we are going to hand it over to them to talk about how they have, what they've been up to over the last few months and how they have improved their own sustainability within their organizations. And in particular, we want to focus on what that means for them as collaboratives, as backbone organizations, as these groups are also known and understood to be, and how that differs, right, for newsrooms and other organizations within the ecosystem. So, yes, sustainability, a word, a phrase, a thing that people say, but what does it really mean? Great question. When we're talking about sustainability, what we mean is how can you be resilient? How can you adapt to change? How do you weather disruption? And not only that, what does it look like to create lasting impact? Within journalism, and this is my hot take, I think we have a theory of change problem. We think our theory of change ends with journalism. We did the thing because we put out the news, but we are actually trying to do something bigger here. We're trying to affect change. We want our communities to be stronger, better, healthier. And so, yes, what is that impact that you are trying to create? And what does it look like to be able to be resilient and weather storms on your journey to get there? And then another thing that's important to note is that sustainability does not mean that you just exist forever and ever. Amen. It means that you have to be purpose and outcome driven. Again, what is that impact that you're trying to get to and create within your communities? And are you doing it? And if you're not doing it, is there a pivot that you can make that gets you there? And if not, does that mean that your job here is done? And for our collaboratives, for folks, again, who are supporting news organizations, supporting our ecosystem, their sustainability challenge is unique. One, for a lot of collaboratives and collaborations in general, there is no one single owner. They are charged with bringing folks together to have shared ownership over something and shared responsibility, which requires a lot of trust. And that also means that they have to have strong governance. They have to help their partners understand what it means for them to have fair and equitable contributions to the work. And there has to be equitable decision making. For any of you who have been in charge of an organization, I think if you're doing it well, you know that you do not want to be holding the bag by yourself. So what does it look like to help other folks hold the bag with you? And then, of course, backbone work can be overlooked and underfunded. As we talked about yesterday, there is a big conversation right now about support organizations and their role in this ecosystem. And for these organizations in particular, a lot of them are serving at a local level. They're serving organizations in maybe a smaller amount than some of our other national organizations. So their work really can be overlooked. And yet they are helping us to create efficiencies and impacts in ways that no single newsroom could do on their own. So what does that mean for them? What does sustainability look like for them as a collaborative? This is our definition. For any folks who have ever been a part of a Blue Engine collaborative program, we also have a definition of sustainability for individual organizations. If you're interested in finding out more about that work, please be in touch with us. We'll have a way for you to be in contact with us at the end of this presentation. But for collaboratives, this is what we're looking at. These are the sort of 5 pillars: money, audience, product and tech, people and process, and impact. And again, many of these things do apply to newsroom organizations, individual organizations within the ecosystem as well. But specifically for collaboratives, we want to be thinking about, do they have a diverse and resilient funding mix? Is all their money coming from one place? Is it coming from multiple places? How do those streams differ? Do they have an active funder pipeline? Do they know where their money is coming from now? Are they already preparing relationships for the future? And are they stewarding their existing relationships? And do they have investment from their partners, whether financial or in kind? Audience, do they have a shared mission-aligned funnel model? It's one thing for their news partners to understand their funnel. Do they have a shared funnel? Do they have a shared understanding of the audience that they're trying to grow? Do they understand their distribution channels, both together and individually? And do they have shared marketing assets? How are they getting their reporting out there together? Do they understand how their partner newsrooms are actually putting that reporting out? And do they have community listening and feedback loops? Hopefully a lot of this is sounding familiar. These are the questions that you're asking yourselves on an individual organizational level as well. And we could go on, but I won't, because we don't have a lot of time. And I want to really make sure that this time is given to them. But again, as you can see, this is what we mean, and this is how we're breaking down sustainability. And what's even more important is that these folks were able to actually assess themselves on their journey to sustainability. So we have this in scorecard form to say, yeah, are you at a level 0 where we are not making it right now? This is rough. We've got some work to do. Are you at a level 3 where you're a model for the field and for the ecosystem? And again, if that's something that folks are interested in, we'd be happy to pass that along to you as well. So with that, I am going to take my seat and hand it over to these folks and have them talk about their work and what they've been up to over the last few months. Great. We'll start with you, Melanie.
Hi. Woo, there we go. I'm Melanie Plenda. I'm the executive director of the Granite State News Collaborative in New Hampshire. How we got started, when we started with this, we are a collaborative of more than 27 outlets all over the state of New Hampshire, and we include some higher education institutions and some nonpartisan community groups that also produce content. So we have a big, broad, beautiful collaborative. But where we were was we had spent roughly 3 years developing a strategic plan to build a community news fund. And this was a fund that's going to help everyone in the ecosystem, not just our collaborative alone. But what ended up, we had plans of a plan, then we had an actual plan, and we were all standing there holding hands and not ready to jump. So this really helped us to actually jump into the first phase of what we knew we needed to do. We needed to do two things. One, we had to broaden our base of support generally, but specifically with the public. We had to begin and end with the public for two reasons. One, there's lots of people who are not engaging with local news, and we need to reach them and find out what they need. But also, if people don't understand who we are, what we do, or that we're there, they're not going to support us. And we needed to make a better case of better than because democracy. So we did two things in order to do that, and also to inform what we were going to spend the money from the Community News Fund on. We needed to know what people wanted and where we were lacking and where we were missing the boat. So we did two things to start that process. One, we decided to launch a month-long series called Know Your News, which we made available to everyone in the collaborative. We also made it available regionally through our regional press association. And this was not local news is in trouble, we really need money. It was literal nuts and bolts, like, here's how a story gets corrected. Here's how we cover local meetings. Here's what it means. Here is what press freedom means to you. We tried to make every single story relevant in an average person's life, no matter what they did, who they were, where they lived. And we put these out, and we had a really robust social media campaign, again, to reach people who are not reading the local news. So we started with that, and we weren't quite sure how it was going to go because it was a bit of a dice. We had 30 stories, kind of a lot of money. But within the first 48 hours, we got an anonymous $10,000 donation directly related to that campaign that we started. So that was feeling pretty good. Then we launched, we were all participating in Newsmatch, but before this was our second collective fundraising effort. Before we did that, again, we were kind of looking at, okay, our series lets you know who we are, but now we need to hear from you. So we launched a statewide news survey. A lot of our partners had done surveys individually. This was the first time we were doing it together. We were collecting up all the data together, and everyone was sharing the data. We were getting stuff from all over the state. We had 224 responses, which was not bad for our local surveys. So again, that felt pretty good. We had an opportunity to test about halfway through how we were doing, because like I said, we were participating in Newsmatch. Second year for doing that. First year with matches, we made $42,000 and had nine outlets participating. This year, well, I can't draw a direct line, but this was after the series and after the survey, we made $90,000 with matches, which was amazing. And all the partners were very happy. And we had 11 partners participate, more than the previous year. So we were feeling very good. And so then we were ready for our next step, which was, okay, we've got our survey results, which are great, but now we need to actually go talk to people. So we set up a series of what we're calling publisher crawls across the state of New Hampshire. All of our partners, no matter what area of the state that they're from, they're coming to these publisher crawls to just listen to people. And we wanted them to be fun, laid back, in really easy-going kinds of settings. So all of them, I mean, coincidentally, right now they're all at bars, but they didn't have to be at a bar. We were looking at like bowling alleys and like any place that didn't scream focus group or panel or anything like that. We just wanted them to be fun. The booze didn't hurt. So the first one sold out. We only allowed 45 people. We had 45 people sign up. The conversations were great. The best thing I heard at the end of this night was a guy came up to me and said, you know what, I'm a conservative and I really was not sure what to expect from a liberal event. like, well, okay, I'm letting it go. And he's like, this was great. He's like, I had such a great conversation. It was really fun. Thank you so much for doing this. That was like, oh my God. So that was our first one out of the gate. So I think what we're learning is that we like talking to people and they like talking to us, and we're gaining a lot of different kinds of data from these events. And I can tell you more about that if you want, but a lot of data. But more importantly, we're getting out there and we are raising awareness. And it's going to take a while. This is a long-term kind of project. It's going to be one pub crawl at a time. So next, we're looking to sort of expand that and see how can we reach out to different kinds of groups with the same kind of idea and having those events.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. And now we have Charlotte Journalism Collaborative. Chris.
Thank you. I'm Chris Rudisell, the director of the Charlotte Journalism Collaborative. When we began thinking about sustainability at CJC, we realized the question wasn't simply, how do we raise more money? It was more, how do we build something resilient enough to support collaboration long term? For us, the challenge was pretty straightforward. We had strong projects, strong partnerships, and real community impact, but we did not have multi-year funding. And if you lead a collaborative, you know how that can make it really hard to plan long term. Our biggest sustainability breakthrough, though, came this year through Charlotte Documenters. After nearly 2 years of pursuing funding, we secured a 2-year, $150,000 grant from Knight Foundation to launch the program. Thank you, Knight. But the grant itself wasn't the most important thing. The most important part was what it created around it. Because the grant includes a local match component, we suddenly have an opportunity and frankly a reason to tell a bigger story. Instead of making isolated asks, we were now inviting people into this larger vision. That led us to host our first funder luncheon. Foundation for the Carolinas, our major foundation in Charlotte, hosted the event. They also pledged their first multi-year funding commitment to Charlotte Journalism Collaborative, not just for documenters, but for our collaborative journalism work as well. Even more importantly, it's opened up doors to entirely new funders. We've already been invited to pursue additional funding opportunities this summer with organizations that we had never previously been able to get in front of. We learned that sustainability is also more about diversification. We did have one major funder step back this year, and while that was disappointing, it reinforced that important lesson that sustainability cannot depend on one relationship or one source of support. At the beginning of this program, we challenged ourselves to identify 15 to 20 potential new funders. We ended up identifying more than 50. And now the work becomes building systems and refining that pipeline so it becomes sustainable and, as Fraser mentioned earlier, repeatable too. While we are inviting people into this larger vision, we also realized we needed to better organize what we were asking people to support. So instead of asking people to support the Charlotte Journalism Collaborative, I began dividing our work into clear pathways. Support our local news impact summit, which is next week, by the way, on Thursday. Support our collaborative reporting initiative, Shifting Ground, and support Charlotte Documenters. That shift sounds simple, but it changes conversations and the way we view our pipeline strategically. Funders could see specific goals, outcomes, deliverables attached to each effort. Our local news impact summit has always been a source of funding for the collaborative's work. It's now in its 5th year, and we're excited to move that event to Queen's University this year. And by adding our first Charlotte Documenters orientation, we're on our way to making it a 1.5-day event around community-centered journalism for the city of Charlotte. Even with the loss of one major funder, we successfully met our general budget goals for the event and for the year by strengthening this pipeline. The overarching lesson that emerged from all of this and that appears on the slide is that A defined initiative with clear deliverables moves funders from curious to committed. But there's another lesson that we're still actively working through. Collaboratives are really good at building infrastructure. We create partnerships, systems, processes. We build scaffolding. But we're not always good at measuring the downstream impact of that work. We still struggle with things like shared tools, especially around data collection, and consistently understanding what happens after collaborative stories enter the world. So our next challenge is answering a deceptively simple question, but it's what's the point? What happens when one collaborative story gets amplified across multiple partners? Who does it reach? What changes because of it? And most importantly, how do we know? So over the next few months, we're bringing our partners together to map their workflows and better understand impact across the entire ecosystem. Ultimately, sustainability isn't just about funding, it's about being able to clearly articulate why collaborative journalism matters and prove that it creates outcomes no single newsroom could do alone.
Great. Thank you, Chris. All right. And next we have Holly from the Midwest Newsroom.
Hello. Hello. Is that working? Yep. Good morning. Hi, I'm Holly. I'm the managing editor of the Midwest Newsroom. We are a NPR collaborative journalism network hub, as we call it in public media. We are in Kansas, Iowa, Nebraska, and Missouri. I'm based in St. Louis. Our home station is KCUR in Kansas City. I wanted to say those things because these NPR hubs are new and emerging, and I wanted to give you that little bit of insight. The premise of our hub, the premise of each NPR hub is different. The founding principles are all different based on the needs of the partners. Our partners are Iowa Public Radio, Nebraska Public Media, KCUR, and St. Louis Public Radio, plus NPR. And before I was even hired, or this was even a glimmer in my eye, it was decided that the focus of this hub would be investigative journalism. And over the past 5 years, we've moved, we've still do investigative journalism, but we're also sort of in more of the enterprise, in-depth, accountability, all the spectrum of types of investigative work that can be done for the region. Our funders are in two big buckets. Our partners I'm happy to say, after the first 3 years, decided they were going to put in money to support 5 positions. And then the Schmid Family Foundation renewed the grant that we were founded on. So we have these 2 big buckets of funding, both of them set to run out next year or come to the end of the grant periods next year. And so when this opportunity came along, I was really thinking about revenue, money, how do we get it fast, and how do we get in front of the existing funders and new funders. And my colleague Karen Campbell from KCUR and I applied for the fellowship, and we're really excited because we were like, we're going to get all these ideas. We're going to start, that money's going to start flowing in. But with Candace's guidance, we kind of got to audience, because even though these 4 partners are very collegial, these 4 states have a lot in common, the data about the audiences was not shared. It was not commonly discussed. And I felt it would be hard for the Midwest Newsroom to talk about, what we do, why we do, and who we do it for without more information about audience. And Karen agreed. And so one of the things that we do in this is we talk about our North Star. And Candace said, your North Star's got to come back to a little bit more basics before you can get to the money piece. So we really got down to the basics of asking our partners for information. That's basically what it was. And it's easier said than done. One of our partners decided they could not participate. So in the end, we got data from 3 partners, still useful, still helpful. We asked for 6 data points from each partner that we thought would be easy for them because they're probably tracking it already in some way. Turns out not necessarily. We asked for, we gave them a lot of runway to give us the information in any way that they had it, because everyone keeps this and tracks this so differently. We tried to get apples to apples, but a lot of times it was apples and oranges because of the way that they track and follow this information. But we did, I believe, come away with a better understanding, especially in the area of where our members are, which I think there's a lot of assumptions about members of public media and where they are. And I think there were assumptions within my collaboration about that as well. That was a huge one. And another one was basically content, the kinds of content verticals or sections or subjects that draw the highest engagement, and where there's opportunity to do more from the Midwest Newsroom's point of view that's not duplicative. So a bonus came out of this. We got some great audience information, and we got some content information. So basically the next step is revenue. We have about a year, and we're in the midst of a reorganization as well of our team and our sort of the way that we work. And so we have a limited runway to really prove a concept all over again after nearly 5 years. But yeah, so I'm really grateful to Candace. I learned a lot as a leader, as a manager through this process as well, about thinking strategically and getting things done. Thank you.
Awesome. So I'm going to quickly ask each of you a question about the work that you've been doing over the last several months. So I'm going to start with Melanie. The Know Your News campaign and the Publishers Crawl, those feel like journalism work and not fundraising work, which I would argue are the same thing, but we can talk about that in the hallway. How did you make the case internally that that this was worth the investment to your collaborative partners? And what changed for you when you saw the year-end numbers, when you saw that $90,000 number?
I think actually it started, those were just sort of the things we were going to do. I think the work came that we already had decided we had consensus around that idea. We knew that we needed to reach out to people and that was going to be the key to our long-term success. We do that in multiple ways. We do it through our journalism. We do it through engagement. We knew how we were going to do it generally, and we had consensus about what we were going to do, and this was just the nitty gritty of it. So the Know Your News campaign, that just came out of a conversation with the partners of people don't really know what we do, and talking to people, people just not understanding what journalism is and isn't, and we wanted to reach an audience that local news may not have grown up with it like I did, or everyone in here may have. So we wanted to really do what we do best, which is explain stuff and be a journalist. And in doing that, people who understand what we're doing might be supportive of it. Same thing with the Publishers Crawl. We are not looking at that in any way as fundraising. It is literally, we want to hear from you. And as evidenced by the fact that publishers and editors and reporters from all over the state, this isn't even in their coverage area. They want to hear what these people in other places have to say. And I think that means something. And I think long term, it's going to build those relationships that lead to support. But right now we're doing it because this is what we know is the right thing to do.
Thank you. All right, Chris, what has this program helped you see that you weren't seeing before? And what do you wish you'd known at the start?
Thank you. First, I also want to join Holly in thanking you and Sierra for your coaching. It's been remarkable, and I know I was excited when I saw your names on the coach list, but it's helped us all kind of, and that gets to kind of
why you write checks to people. I sent him a check earlier this morning. You see how it's paying off for me? There you go.
To answer your question, I think, I realized that our challenge wasn't about fundraising. It was about clarity. And, I use Charlotte Documenters as kind of a guiding point there. I think knew that Charlotte Documenters would be an entry point for funders. But turning that same idea to the rest of what we do, so that we could better define those other projects like Shifting Ground, like our summit, And it gave us an opportunity to, create a clearer message for funders that where they see their entry point, no matter if it's Charlotte Documenters or one of these other programs that we're doing collaboratively. So I think that was the biggest kind of learning point for me over the course of the project.
Clarity comes before the ask. Clarity comes before the ask. Get clear about what you're asking before you make the ask. All right, Holly. Getting partner organizations, and I know because I've been working with you and it has stressed me out. Getting partner organizations to hand over their audience's data is no small thing. What did the process teach you about what it actually takes to build trust inside a collaborative, and what would you do differently?
Sure. Well, I think that trust even preceded this ask, because I think trust began to have to be cultivated from my first day on the job. Actually, to hire someone, you kind of have to take a leap of faith, right, to trust. So I think, not that I knew we were going to be doing this ask, but I feel like part of a leader and part of being in a collaborative is continually showing that you can trust. You can trust me. And when I make a mistake, you can trust me to say, my bad. I know I really believed in that thing, but that thing didn't work. And I get it. And also talking about these things too. I do a weekly email to all of our partners to tell them what we're doing. And so when I knew I was coming to this thing, I was loud about it. I told the GMs, I told my boss, I told NPR, I told them while we were gathering the data, we did a sort of a GM by GM campaign to explain why we needed the data, what we were going to do with it, how this could be helpful to everybody, not just us as the Midwest Newsroom. And, continually being transparent, open, and I'm an over communicator, because the minute you don't, someone says they didn't hear about it. Oh, I didn't know you were going to Philadelphia. You know what I mean? So at any rate, so really the trust piece is, and I think the earlier speaker today alluded to this, right? Shared values, trust, leap of faith, especially when you're building something that wasn't there before, right? That's all part of that trust process. And I believe that we had enough trust existing through the 5 years that we've been doing this, or the 4+ years that we've been doing this, that when it came to asking for data, which they don't like to part with data. There was enough trust to say, yes, we'll share this with you because we think the premise of what you're asking for makes sense. We understand how it benefits us, and we're going to do that. And so I think that taught me a lot about trust, and it's another dimension of buy-in and being all in a collaboration between partners if you can see the trust in play.
I grew up watching the Apollo, so I know Stephanie standing at that podium means our time is over. So before she dances me off, I just want to thank you all for listening. If you want to reach out to us, there is a QR code up on the screen. Please do. Thank you so much.